Ramadan is over and now comes the hardest part, staying consistent. During Ramadan, everything just flows. You're reading more Quran, praying more, and spending more time remembering Allah. But once it ends, that momentum disappears. You try to keep up, but little by little, your habits start to slip away. Most people think they just aren't disciplined enough, that if they tried harder, they wouldn't fall off. The truth is, discipline wasn't the reason you were consistent. Momentum was. Ramadan gave you an environment where good habits were the norm. Outside of Ramadan, that environment disappears, and suddenly you have to create that momentum all on your own. That's why most people struggle. In this video, I'll share a few ways to keep your momentum going, even after the Ramadan atmosphere is gone, so that you don't lose the progress you've made. One of the biggest mistakes people make after Ramadan is thinking they have to do everything perfectly. So instead of doing less or adjusting, they end up doing nothing at all. We go from praying Tarawih every night, reading a juz a day, so now when we can't keep up that same level, it feels like failing. But consistency doesn't mean showing up perfectly. It doesn't mean doing everything right every single day. Consistency just means showing up, not giving up, coming back each day, even if it doesn't look as perfect as it did during Ramadan. Instead of stopping, adjust. Instead of Tarawih prayers, pray just 2 rak'at of tahajjud. Instead of a whole juz a day, read half a juz or even just one page. The goal isn't to match Ramadan's short-term intensity. It's to take what you built and make it sustainable long-term. A lot of people see Ramadan as an isolated event, the one time of the year when we push ourselves to be the best Muslims we can be. But that's not how it's supposed to be. Think about an athlete. They train for months leading up to a big competition, pushing themselves to their absolute best. But once the event is over, they don't just stop and go back to zero. They maintain their progress, even if they slow down. Ramadan was our big event. We worked hard, we pushed ourselves, and we reached a level we may not have thought possible. But what happens now? Instead of thinking Ramadan is over, shift your mindset to, I made progress in Ramadan. How can I keep building on it? Right now, alhamdulillah, we have an opportunity. We can take everything we gained and keep growing so that next Ramadan, insha'Allah, we're even stronger. Take a moment and ask yourself, what worked for me this Ramadan? What habits made the biggest difference? And how can I keep them going in a way that fits my life? Even if you can't maintain everything, keeping just one or two habits will put you in a way better position by next Ramadan, inshallah. And one of the simplest ways to do that is to keep fasting. For me, I feel like fasting is one of the hardest habits to keep up after Ramadan, and one of the hardest to restart when Ramadan comes back around. Of course, after a whole month of fasting, we all definitely want to take a break, but we can still keep up the habit of fasting some of the time. If you've made up your fast from Ramadan, then you can start fasting the 6 days of Shawwal. Whoever fasts Ramadan and then follows it with 6 days from Shawwal, it's as if they have fasted a year. And after the 6 days of Shawwal are finished, we can still try to fast Mondays and Thursdays. And it doesn't have to be every week. A few fasts here and there has so many blessings and can help keep that Ramadan momentum going, inshallah. But at the end of the day, no matter how many habits we try to keep, no matter how good our intentions are, staying consistent will feel impossible unless we realize this one thing. Being consistent with our ibadah will only come from Allah. It's important to constantly ask Allah to keep us on the straight path. I like to say this dua. Don't just rely on motivation. Ask Allah to keep you steadfast and firm. You can make this dua in sujood, after salah, whenever you feel yourself slipping. Because at the end of the day, the only way to be consistent and firm is with Allah's help. May Allah allow us all to continue to remain consistent with our ibadah.